Call the meeting to order. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? None. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Seconder? Seconder? Well, take it back. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Say nay. No. No delegations, presentations. Minutes of January the 4th. Everybody's had a chance to pursue those, go through them. Note any errors or omissions? None? We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Seconder. Second. All those in favor of approving the minutes of January the 4th, say aye. Aye. Nays? None. Out of the business arising is the second and final reading of the Digby Marketing Promotion Levy Bylaw. So want to, on record is,
Make that motion for second and final reading of the Digby Marketing Promotions Levy bylaw.
yeah.
Second.
I want to ask you to read the whole thing unless it's required by law. It is?
No.
No. Okay, I was gonna say, that's changed. So all those, any discussion on it? There's been lots of discussion on this the last 2 years, actually.
Mm-hmm.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? None. There you go, Tom, what's the next, move on that?
So, the next step is we'll wait for the district to approve it, give the first reading, so, I think the end of this month is the next council meeting, so probably our second reading at the end of it. Then, basically, after that, we just, have to set that committee up and start, finance departments, 2 units we'll have to set up. I will soon do the packages to send it to the hotels, and the information package and the remittance package, and that, and tell them the start date of the collection is, which is, probably now will be April 1st, and go from there.
If they have any, I don't expect, because we've had all the stakeholders at 2 meetings, a year ago. But if there's anybody that's, when they get those packages confused or have concerns, would they just come to,
They can just come to the town hall.
come down hall, you can clarify.
Clarify
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, all the stakeholders, a lot of them were involved. I would say probably some of the smaller ones probably were not, because, but, it's gonna be trial and error, and, at the start of it, and, we're gonna trust people to do the right thing. I know that Yarmouth, they've never had to conduct an audit in Yarmouth, so, it's a trust, honor system, so to speak, and that. We are a small town, and if somebody tries to keep this system, they'll probably get caught because they can't keep their mouth shut. They'll blame it to somebody and it'll be back to us, so.
I think the key thing to success of it is, once they have the money, the organization, what they do with it, and how they promote the area to save that.
Yeah.
You know, to save the operations of money, right? So.
Yeah, and that's gonna be the responsibility of the committee.
Right.
To ensure that, if we're gonna fund projects, then basically look at those projects and see that those projects are not, there's gotta be accountability.
Yeah.
For the money.
The benefit.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just that more post-COVID.
Yeah.
We've got to get people coming back
Yeah. Yeah.
to the area. Like some industries moved during COVID, but a whole lot are on the edge and not being around. Okay, just wondered if, so, I call for a move
so we'll move on to the CEO report. Okay. The first item is the Digby Regional High School Fire Protection Rate. So we got the news, I guess, that I expected, but wasn't the news that I wanted. And did take, you know, have to give credit where credit's due, and that's once I contacted the deputy mayor, Paul Flesh, things started moving. And that's the type of person that he is, and that's the type of person that he's always been since I've known him and dealt with him. And so he definitely got the ball rolling. The ball didn't fall in our court favorably, but the thing is, this isn't over. So.
And I still can't believe that some towns are clocking it, and others, you know. I know what they're saying, that we are the owners, not the province.
Yeah, but they really can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
They can't have one legislation saying that they are the owners, and then the other legislation saying, no, we're not the owners, right? So that's the thing, so.
Their acres are not precedent set that they paid in the past.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Basically, they've said, well, Department of Education said, we're not paying it because of the amendments to the Education Act, which was done in 2018. We didn't impose this tax until 2019, right? So it's after the fact. Anybody they were already paying before, they continue to pay, right? So that's, excuse my French, horseshit. Right? So anyway, that's one of the items in camera that I wanted to talk about under legal and discuss some of our options. And it's not appropriate to discuss in the public session at this particular time because council hasn't made a decision on where to go. Yeah, the Accessibility Act, so the deadline is rapidly coming on us, so but the plan has been drafted, and I believe that Councillor Turnbull has sent everybody a copy of the plan via email. So the plan is for that to be on the committee of the whole agenda for review by the official review and recommendation of council. So that works so that we'll have plenty of time to have it approved. Municipalities has to approve as well, so they've got time to get it approved so that it can be submitted on time. Good. Community Navigator, new proposal was drafted, and I had to amend my report a little bit because I was going to say we were going to receive one shortly, but it arrived before. So I had to amend it. So the request letter and proposal had been received, and it's on council agenda later. Capital investment plan. So in the approved 21-22 capital investment plan, the following two projects have been completed or substantially completed. Prince William Street resurfacing, that's being west of Victoria. The budget was $95,000 to be funded by borrowing from the Municipal Finance Corporation. The actual cost came in at $86,337 from the budget, and that project is completed. The FRIP funding, Racket Road Seawater Flooding Project, that placed Armor Rock and leads the Racket Road just east of the Racket Bridge, include a beach public access point. The budget of 200,000 was amended in November to 260 to be funded by borrowing of the town share of 160,250 from the Municipal Finance Corporation, and FRIP funding of 99,750. The actual cost to date is 219,358. I've got it classed as substantially completed because the beach access has not been completed. So, the recommendation is that instead of boring, we use gas tax, because that gas tax reserve has adequate funds to fund these projects, and we still have a respectable balance, thus eliminating boring costs. And so we are recommending that they be funded through the gas tax reserve as opposed to boring for MSC.
Well, those are the type of projects that the gas tax was arranged for.
Yeah.
So Tom, does that affect our rig portion, or does that stay 99,000?
Pardon?
Being under budget like at the 219 or the 260, does that change the funding from RIF?
No, FRIP's gonna stay at the 99,750 because it was up to a maximum.
Okay.
And because we were over budget, we only had a $200,000 budget
Right.
initially that we applied for funding on. So we're gonna be spending more than that, but they'll only spend up to that 99. So that 99,750 we should have from FRIP. Actually, we've got probably 50 or 75% of that funding, and then once we do the final report, then we'll get the rest of the funding. So,
If we pay for those with the gas tax, does that affect any of our other capital projects that we're looking at using gas tax?
no,
Okay.
that's in addition to anything that was approved that, we were gonna use gas tax for. It was just that, that we had, we almost got double the gas tax again this year.
Yeah.
So instead of borrowing money, it's like to take the money out of the bank, like making, 1.25%, or borrow the money at 4%. So, just,
Spend money.
yeah. So basically, I do need a motion to amend the capital investment plan just on funding, that it be funded through, gas tax, those two projects as opposed to MFC.
Anybody want to put that forward, that we amend it?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, okay. Councilor Sommier, a seconder?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sure. Any further discussion on that? None, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Nay. Nope. Motion is carried.
Tri-County Regional Planning Initiative Project. To give us a background, in November 2019, the town council approved the following motion. That the council support the application for provincial funding for a shared land use planning service, and that the request be for 90% funding provincially and the remaining 10% paid by the participating municipalities if the application is successful. So an application was made to the provincial government under the Municipal Innovation Program with the municipality district of Argyle as the lead. All 11 municipal units of the Tri-Counties were invited to participate. However, only 7 units participated in the application. The participating units are the District of Argyle, District of Barrington, District of Digby, Town of Digby, District of Shelburne, Town of Shelburne, and the District of Yarmouth. The application was approved and the funding is 75% of the $160,000 budget, and application to a maximum of $120,000. The remaining $40,000 is to be funded by the participating municipal units. The town of Digby's share would be approximately $1,900 of that $40,000.
Yeah. Motion to pay that.
We're not there yet. I'm just sort of giving background and saying that we have drafted an RFP. And that should soon be going to, out on the dormant site. And we will be, I think the date is towards the end of March that we're going to, that the tender will close or RFP will close. And then once we know what our actual budget is, and then the funding formula will be all, those almost two stages. One is to get the consultant to look at all the units and decide what it is that we actually need, how much work is, and then and make a recommendation of how we go to move forward. So there'll be this cost, but then if we go forward with forming a regional planning, then there's obviously going to be another budget for that, whether we can get funding or not for that, that's unknown at this point. But there will be a funding formula that's shared, probably, there'll be, we'll say in this case, if there's 7 municipal units, there'll be an equal share paid by all 7 units, and then the remainder of it will be based on the funding formula, which is usually uniform assessment of population, and that seems to work. That's how we pay for things like the Western Rand and other lease jack and other ones like that. So, because we're a smaller unit, we're probably going to be paying less than the larger units, but it's going to be what it's going to be, and hopefully it shouldn't be too much more than what we're paying now for the retainers.
Should be a good investment.
Yeah.
Well, it is, because we've got, 7 units, all with different strategies, different people doing all that work.
Yeah.
Let's come together together as a region and talk about strategies.
One of the things that we've talked about that's in the RFP is that, the thing is that they look for some commonality, try to be, but every unit will still have their own MPS and OUP.
You will have sort of some autonomy.
Yeah, there'll be some autonomy, right? And the thing is, it's probably what low density residential zone means, or the uses are maybe the same in all 7 units. Because if you're only going to have 3 or 4 staff that administer for all 7 units, it's better for them to say, okay, our LD zone is the same everywhere, and these are the uses everywhere, right? So, yeah. So, anyway, hopefully, towards the end of March, 1st of April, we should know what the next step is, or at least have our consultant hired. Community grants program. So the application for community grants program closed on Monday, January 31st. We received 13 applications, totaling $72,941 in funding requests, which includes the DP Food Bank contribution as approved by policy. So in comparison, in 21-22, we had 13 applications, and they totaled $60,925 in funding requests, and 11 applications were approved, totaling $29,325. However, the grant and warfare rally was not processed as the rally was not held in 2021.
Yeah.
So basically, our actual outlay for grants was $24,325.
Second year in a row for them. Yeah, so I see you set a date. We'll set a date. Well, of course, we're going to come and wait and see where you are at.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the thing is, I'm not saying that we need to do it next week or whatever, but we should consider set a date, because that's one thing that, you know, is one less thing that we have to worry about, you know, at budget time.
Yeah.
Because we know we use roughly 1% of our revenue as a budget line. We've never ever used that much, so, you know.
Yeah, well,
We do have some new applications this year, and,
Oh, that's good, that's what it's there for.
They all want to be put on the bottom.
they are,
Out there, yeah,
Out
just,
there.
yeah.
we're just doing our review and making sure that all the pertinent information is there, and then once we know that they're complete, or get the required information that we need, because sometimes people think they got everything, but they don't. That's why we do the review first, and then they'll be on the cloud. So once they're on the cloud, Leslie will send an email out, so you can look at them at your leisure, and then when it comes time to meet and talk about them. So I just wanted to put it there that we should look in the near future, and I guess I know last year, I think we ended up having a special meeting just to deal with those, as opposed to trying to add them into,
I think that's what we'll do, yeah, we'll aim for near in February, 1st of March or something like that. Because, we'd like to have everybody here, you might be waiting up for a couple days, and that kind of stuff, so,
yeah.
Okay, good.
So the Invest in Canada Infrastructure Program, the RCIP, so there's a letter in the package, and some other information that came with the lady as well, since I wrote this report. And, so, they're gonna be accepting applications under the Green Environmental Quality Stream, between February 4th and April 1st, 2022. So, under this stream, only projects under the wastewater, drinking water, or solid waste categories will be eligible. Senior staff and the town engineer have been tasked with preparing an application for the eligible portions of the Lamp Street project. So what that means is that we have to we had sidewalk in there, we had repaving the whole street, and we had, I think, bike lane in there. Well, we'll have to sort of divide that project into two, because if we put all of that in, we're gonna throw it at it, because, you know, you can put a portion of the repaving of the street in for, because if we weren't repaving the street, we'd have to bring it back up to patch pave it anyway, after putting the mains and stuff in. So, anyway, that's what we're gonna need on. And, basically, if we can get 73%, 75% of cost sharing on that project, hopefully, well,
Hopefully we make some holes.
hopefully we won't leave it a go of it, but we are basically gonna, I've got a meeting with Ed and I have a meeting with the town engineer, it's Wednesday afternoon, to look at the report and see what we can pick out of it and put in that application that what is required. The last item is the modified work week. So, modified work week as per the policy was that it shall be a 9-month audit project pending a review to be conducted at 8th month mark to determine whether it should continue on a permanent basis. So the objective of the work week policy states the town of Digby desires to provide the best possible service to its residents and aims to create a happy, healthy, and productive workplace. Expanded service hours will benefit residents as it will increase their ability to access the town hall. 4-day work week will improve the work-life balance and mental health of employees. It's proven to reduce stress, increase happiness, and increase productivity. While we'll be conducting a review based on this objective during this month of February, after which I will provide council with the results of the review and a recommendation for the March committee of the whole.
Any questions? Comments? See you.
Can I ask about the format? Do people like that format of this report? Better, or worse, or not? Doesn't really matter.
That was laid out nicely, yeah. Clear, concise?
As far as the layout, is something that I noticed from municipality of West Hants, and I sort of liked how it was, especially the top.
Yeah.
And part was the subject and tributes to
Yeah.
and bear date and all that, and the individuals' items. So it's something that I intend to instruct senior management to start using this in the future reporting. May not.
If you had it back in front of something, it would be easier to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's my intent. You probably won't see that at the February committee of the whole, but hopefully staff reports after that in the future should be following this format.
Okay. Good. Big area recreation.
Reports in the package, any questions? We'll try to answer them for you.
Try. I noticed the splash park. I'm sure Sharon's watching what's happening in Yarmouth with their splash park. I do know one of the splash park down there, one of their largest benefactors is a resident of Yarmouth, but one of our largest businesses in this town is owned by him. So it might be a reach out. There's a donation of $10,000 to the splash park. But to be fair, he lives there, but he travels here, so maybe take a look at that. And I saw it in the newspaper the other day, and I said, oh, yeah, which is wonderful he did it, so.
Yeah.
A little reach out here, maybe that would be his pet project next year or something like that.
It seems to be going all right, and the committee is set up, and they are
Enthusiastic?
yeah, and
Kind of like anything, that you get a new committee, and you hear all about it, you hear them in the meeting, and then they get their committee together, and you never hear when they're having another meeting.
they're, I know the Tim Hortons cookies program is slated for next year. And this year, it was, the no savior sold. And it was the biggest, and that was for the, community garden. So-
Yeah.
And that was, so,
Good.
The splash park group, I think, is going to be making a presentation at the February committee of the whole.
You're busy night then? Good.
Did they get an application for the grants? Do they want to?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think they're anywhere near that yet. So. Yep. Because they have to apply to something, and they're not going to do it.
Yeah, but I thought they were.
Okay. Well, let's check register.
what's that?
I thought they were already registered and stuff and get that stuff done.
Yeah, I think they're all set up as far as the society.
Yeah, yeah.
They haven't got anything to spend money on, right? You know, probably wait until they're ready and then they'll say, we need to apply for so much.
That's what I was getting at, yeah.
Right, yeah. at that point.
Yeah.
Because at this point, it's,
They have a location, in mind, but I mean, it's not set, but it's,
Okay, DPW Tourism Association, report.
same thing.
Yeah.
Report is in the package.
I see some marketing happening, a little bit of that new chat. Is he still with the group or is
Yeah,
that?
he is.
Is it?
Yeah, okay.
A few new videos going in and stuff, so.
Yeah.
Thing with those is, they're great to show them around town, but you gotta get them up to other markets.
Well, and they're trying that, they're trying to go to all the tourist bureaus, all the, around the province and outside the province also.
Yeah. Eastern seaboard of the US, and, it's
Yeah,
costly.
yeah.
Okay, committee of the whole report. Just close that, for God's sake. So we have a motion, several motions actually.
You want a motion on all these?
Separately.
Yeah, okay, I'd like to make a motion to determine residence for the Digby Fire Commission and the appointment of Councilor Sonnier and McCormick to the Digby Fire Committee.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. Nobody opposed. Number 2, these are lots that we identified as surplus to the town's needs, so. Yeah.
Could I just maybe suggest an amendment to that?
Sure.
Motion? And that would be to property surplus to the town of Digby for use as possible residential development,
Okay.
right? Just to clarify that, because it seemed to me that's what the whole process was for, to determine what may be available, and that way it sort of doesn't lock us in, but if you got something efficient out there, we can say, well, council is declared surplus for this use. And council would have to change that, that policy, that's back to council, so. Lock it down a little bit, so we can wide open.
And most of these, maybe except for one, are in residential zoning.
Yeah, they're all residential.
Zoning, so, yeah, that's a safe way of doing it.
I'll make that motion with the amendment. To declare PID 30226765, PID number 30229041, PID number 30224836, and PID number 30372387. Those properties.
No properties for residential use.
For residential, okay.
SCCO and Deacon.
Okay. Anybody second that?
Second?
Any discussion? I just got one, so at some point now, over the next months or whatever, you'll have conversations with brokers or determine market values, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This time,
Yeah.
and there's one that we may have to look at. There could be a couple of them. Some of them will need probably subdivisions, some orders certainly to do, because some of those already a principal part of that property being used by the town. I'll say like the Ninth Street one, but you can definitely carve off a lot that can be sold off for residential development. Sure. Right. So.
And there's another one there that'll be bidding for.
Yeah, Queen Street, but if you put it, and that has to be for residential development.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a difference.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that.
Okay. So all those in favor of that, say aye. Any nays? Amend the dangerous non-sightly premise policy as presented. So we'll put that through, that gives us a little bit more teeth.
So correct the motion.
Timelines, right?
Take time, yeah, so we can react a little faster. Council,
Thermal use.
I make a motion, we amend the dangerous and unsightly terms as policy as presented.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hopefully help us address the things a little faster. And number 4.
Make a motion to approve a 2-year contract job description for the community development coordinator position.
Okay. Second. Okay. So that approves the position, so all those, approves the job description. I'll say that. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Any nays? None. Motion carried. Okay. Waste check report.
No. Any questions?
Are you Ted? Are you Ted something?
No, I don't know what the deal was there. There is a Ted. I think she just left me off the list.
Oh, okay. When I read it, I said, you know,
Yeah.
Ted?
I looked a couple times. Maybe Ted.
Yeah.
And she even asked me, the first one is seconded by Paul Sonia.
Yeah.
But I wasn't there.
You weren't at that meeting?
That was?
Yeah, but we don't have attendance up there.
Unless my ghost seconded the motion, I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, well, yeah, you probably should just send her a note.
Well, we have a meeting tomorrow, so
Yeah.
I'll mention it.
Yeah. This is a little off subject, but I was thinking, when we can, with the large amount of piles of tree branches and stuff that's gonna be all over town,
Yeah.
is this, we don't make the habit of going around picking them up. Try to avoid that because of the cost and stuff, but because this was a 1 in 100-year storm, 4th one in January. Is there any consideration to maybe doing some of that, or?
I would say that usually what we do, we've done with Dorian, it was cleaning up.
Yeah.
We've done what we had to do, so that's cool. Well, definitely, if it's branches that have come off, we have to cut them off and trim and stuff like that. I mean, if we get tons and tons from one property, they start clearing the property, well, that may be a little bit different.
Yeah.
As far as storm damage, yes, well,
This Aspen was actually trimming today on our street. They were on the telephone line side, so I kind of wondered if Bell had hired them.
yeah, you could very well, because, and if they're contractors that are hired by either Bell or Nova Scotia Power, good thing is, for the most part, they clean it and away they go. Like,
Yeah.
Chip it right on site and haul it away.
I had a large tree removed from Jack's property, and I called I called the church and see if they were interested in the wood and stuff, and they did come get it. Yeah, and it was,
That was reasonably priced too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a huge tree.
that was, it was $125 to take it down, I think it was, plus tax.
Yeah.
Did it in a day, and they did storage up, cleaned it all up.
Yeah, that was a great, they couldn't wrap your arms around it. Okay, no, I'm curious, because you see the mess around, and there's piles around in front of people's properties today. I haven't had any requests, I don't know if anybody else has any, but I
I
expect.
don't know whether we've had any calls yet, but,
No.
probably is, if it won't keep moderating this week and the snow disappears and stuff and the ice disappears, because people don't want to wait and mess and try to do anything.
Your former neighbor, my neighbors, have to cut down the birch trees.
Yeah.
They're broken, they're laying on the roof and stuff like that, yeah.
That's it, Birch takes
Birch
31
took the
pieces.
shit.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Few minor
He's
still.
gonna enjoy that very much.
No. Okay, we'll move on to correspondence. We got some correspondence here. Just reminding us what the deadline is.
Yeah, so that one, so we are on track to meet that deadline, if there are any issues.
The ICIP, we spoke of that. And we spent millions on our drinking water and our wastewater over the last few years.
So,
Anything to add, John?
I guess in the H2B, so there's a priority resolution there.
Good.
And, we got a follow-up email from, EMAH, and one of the things for applications to be considered for followers must be adhered to. Maximum of 2 applications will be, accepted. The joint application will be considered 1 application from each municipality. Projects must be prioritized via a resolution of council dated after April 1st, 2021. The council cannot meet before April 1st, 2022. Please indicate your council will meet to set the priorities. Basically, so I drafted the priority resolution to put that for the application that's coming in for the Mount Street property of under consideration. So, council so wishes, they could pass that resolution, and then we'll get that marked off our application list, to-do list.
The gist of it is the bureaucrats want to make sure they have our support. That it's not just coming. Yeah. You want to make put that resolution forward?
I will.
Yeah. Okay. We won't get you to read the whole thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll second it since you.
Well, you could do the front of the line there if you wanted, but anyway, that's okay. That's okay. So any discussion on it, or anything anybody wants to know in regards to it? This is very, very common that we have to pass resolutions when we're applying for funding of these type of projects.
Maybe, maybe just for the sake of
The bottom line, yeah.
bottom line should be read, just, just let our viewers, their members of the public know what we're talking about. We all know what we're talking about. So.
Yeah.
The priority resolution of investment in Canada infrastructure program, green environment quality stream, or
The one, there.
The last paragraph.
Yeah.
The last.
At the town council, did we?
Yeah. It's on the first
Be it
page.
therefore resolved.
Yeah.
I can read it, it's on me to read it.
I'm looking for it.
I have a printed copy, that helps.
First page, last paragraph.
Lift to the top there.
You want a printed copy?
Well, right there, you was someplace right there.
Yeah.
That last paragraph.
Okay, be it therefore resolved that the town council of the town of Digby identify the replacement / upgrade of a water distribution system, wastewater main and laterals and installations of stormwater mains located on Mount Street, Victoria to King Street. Project is their #1 priority under the investment of Canada Infrastructure Program, Green Environmental Quality Stream.
And you second that resolution. Yeah. Any discussion? This is a project that's been on the book for since I've been on council, so.
I've got a lot of calls on that.
Yes.
Over the
What's
years.
the total budget for that whole thing?
600,000 to $1 million, was it, Tom? Depending. It is a lot, but it's just waiting for money to come, and that's been the problem. Yeah. No discussion on it, all those in favor say aye. Any nays, yeah, and that's what we've been waiting for, is grants to come forward, because we just can't do it on our own. Time view, terrace, true doors, yeah, that, when I read about that in the media, that's a real meeting.
Yeah, so I thought we would maybe buy a couple doors, would be kinda nice to do. Need a motion, I can make a motion to buy 2 doors for $380.
I would second that, unless we have to take it to budget.
Well, I don't think so. We have a little money left, we haven't spent any money, this kind of stuff in 2 years, so.
Second that.
No, this might be self-serving in a way, but do they put plaque on, say, sponsored by the town?
No.
I imagine they could.
Well, I just,
It's that.
but like if somebody, individual did it,
Yeah.
it's nice to recognize that they've done it.
Maybe it'll put a town crest on.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
on the-
Yeah.
I guess it has to be something that.
But it seems to have gone over well from what I've seen on the social media.
Yeah, they're nice.
What brought it to my attention is when my mother was Alzheimer's, went into the 3rd floor of the hospital. And I walked the other day to see her, and she was walking down to get to the door to leave, and she would look at the door, and it was all painted. And she would say, I don't know what's up with this. Like, doors caught her attention.
Yeah.
Because I guess she knows a method of escape or something. But after a while, she'd just go down to the door, kind of touch it, and then turn and walk away.
Yeah.
But she thought, there is a motion on the floor to do that.
Is it an actual door, or is it?
It
Or
is.
is it, it's a decal?
It's that door.
It's a decal.
That's a cheap door.
It's a decal. It's a decal. they put on.
That's what I wondered.
Yeah, it's a decal.
Yeah.
It's right over.
Yeah, that's what I looked at, because I said, I'm spending $700 for the front door.
Actual decal. Yeah,
Those are good for $190.
Those are actual decal, put over top of it or something.
That's a little out here in a new door. Okay, all those in favor of that motion? Aye. Yeah. You know, idea, so. 74 doors. Municipal, each floor.
That is the letter that, is a response to my September 27th, 2021 letter. And, refers to Marilyn Hay and Andrea Jeffs. They're the 2 ladies that I had my discussion with on the telephone. And, so, they are well aware that I'm not happy with the income, and I said, I'll be discussing it. So we know that it's going to be discussed by council, I'm seeking further direction. And basically, I'm like a dog with a bone on this particular issue. It's not sitting well with me.
And that's we're dealing with that in legal, so.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to talk about it. But it wasn't until this letter, until I spoke with the deputy minister of Flesh, that's when the ball started rolling.
Good. Okay, we'll move in camera, or not camera. Forever, skip the whole lap of business here, didn't I? J1, dangerous and unsightly. We have to ratify our email, there was an email on it, and everybody voted on that. We all voted unanimously, but we have to ratify it today, so we'll put that forward.
Therefore, it be resolved that the town council ratify the decision of the electronic poll that was conducted on January 6, 2022, to approve the estimated cost of $2,400, including HST supplied by DB Salvage and Disposal Limited for the cleanup of 267 Shore Road.
Second. Now, the issue is now there's 10 feet of snow on it, so that's hopefully maybe it'll rain for the next few days.
We can't see it now.
Well, yeah, I can see it now, but we get it addressed. All those in favor of that?
Aye.
Any nays? Municipal boundary review. For the new ones, oops, I lost, closed myself on here. For the new one here tonight. Yeah, I don't wanna point out the new one, but
That's neat.
yeah. Something we have to go through, Tom's got it in there in the report, we have to go through every, what, 8 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, every 8 years. To determine our boundaries. It's somewhat easier for us because we have a defined boundary, we don't have wards or districts or anything like that. So the last time we went through this, we discussed council size and went to the public on it. And it was an interesting experience, lots of discussion. Lots of back and forth. And at the end of the day, we decided to go down from 2 to 4 and there. So we're required to do it every so often. So if anybody has any thoughts or comments or questions on it, Tom put all the information there, and I don't know what else.
I do have a recommendation.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And it's just to have add it to the committee of the whole to have a round table discussion. I'll give you some time to think about what we can do in regards to the requirements here of a boundary review, council size, or is it annexation, or do we shrink the town, or do we make the town bigger?
Can't do that in this one.
No, not this one. We can start the conversation.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll
Yeah. Our process, because we're at large, elected at large, we have a boundary in the district, so we're, or wards or whatever, it's easier for us. All that we have to do is either confirm or amend or alter the number of council members that sit around the council table. So, with our current number after the last review, we went from 6 councilors and a mayor to 4 councilors and a mayor. And that's pretty consistent with a lot of the towns left in the existing towns in Nova Scotia. There's still a few that are still at the 6 councilors and 1 mayor. That number, 6 councilors and a mayor, getting back to the old Towns Act when the towns were first incorporated. That's basically, the numbers have been around that long.
So if you read that through and get thinking of a different thing, send them to Tom and see whether they fit under this review, and he can answer your question. And I would suggest maybe later in March we have this, because in February we have at least 2 delegations coming.
Yeah.
Housing and.
I wasn't suggesting in the near.
Yeah.
Even to have a special meeting.
You do that.
Well, just so you have a good open discussion, and, because what it boils down to mainly is, the workload of council members, what the workload is, and you've got too much workload, not enough workload, or it's just right, like
Well, one of the big things is, now, you see tonight, there's 3 councilors here and a mayor, and you could have tie host on everything, so, well,
I can vote.
that's what I'm saying, you could have tie
Yes,
host.
right.
Yeah.
So you could have 2 on everything that.
From council, but I vote. It used to be that years ago, the mayor would vote.
But no, yeah.
But still, you
I
want enough numbers.
Yeah.
We did go through, quite a few years ago, when I first got on council, we went to what's called the committee of the whole structure, because we had fire committee, tree committee, ditch committees. You know, we had a million committees, and it was different counselors attending different committees. But now the vast majority of the business is discussed here, so we're a committee one. So, and that's something we can have that night at the battery review, how it all changed and how it all works. So. Okay, yeah, so we'll look later in March or something like that. We have a busy February coming up. Okay, I think area navigation. This has been bouncing around for a number of years. We knew this was coming. It always involves money. This is to deal primarily with healthcare. Right now, if a doctor or an NP or LPN or somebody comes to the community, it's call Ben Cleveland or call Phil Barrett or call somebody in the community that can meet these people, arrange, et cetera, do things, and it doesn't work. You know, it just doesn't work. We're always reacting. There's no plan put in place. So that's the discussion going around this committee, or this foundation's had with other communities. Yarmouth has one, the community navigator. They're out throughout the province, and the province recommends them now too. The province recommends having somebody, a contact person in the community. We have a recruitment person in the valley that's required to recruit. I think the last she said was 52 doctors from Bridgewater to Digby or just beyond. So their focus is on Digby. It's not on Digby. The last UNSM or FSM, whatever we call ourselves, a number of years ago, the health minister of the day stood up and said, my job is to attract healthcare professionals to the province. It's your job to get them into your community. So in other words, we're on our own. So these folks will come and talk about this again. But when I saw this, I ran into one of the people on the street that will talk about it. Tom, I'm assuming this went to the municipality also? Yeah. I was going to suggest too that they would come, but it's about time we have a joint meeting with the municipality. We used, every number of years we get together, have a joint meeting just to talk about joint initiatives, recreation, fire, all that stuff, that we add this to the agenda. Speak to the ward and say, can we have a joint meeting? Does that seem fair? Yeah. Have a joint meeting, talk about it. I know they're anxious to start today, but they're asking us for $26,000 for the next 3 years. So,
Who's the actual chair of the Health Services Charitable Foundation?
it's Beth Earl now.
So, just
Yep.
why did it come from Greg and not the chair?
Delegation.
Yeah. Yeah. Greg has been involved in it, but he won't take it. He's not chair. Beth Earl is the chair. So, yeah.
So that's, I wondered that myself as well, but I think that he was willing to do the work. He just got delegated to do that. He sent this was all approved by their board. And he ran it by the committee, which was Beth, Linda, and himself. And then, of course, Jeff and I sat on that committee as well. And so, it pretty much is what Jeff and I said, that we weren't, our arguments didn't seem to be in favor of, a third on something, because the units felt, or the cash councils felt, there should be other funding from other things. So that's why they sort of modified this, the funding model, to make it, asking 25% from each unit, including themselves, and then another 25% come from outside sources like the province or wherever else we get it. However, the foundation will pick up that extra 25. They'll come back to us asking for more if they don't get that 25%. Right, so I find they'll cover the 50%. So they, and that's how they sort of came to, this. Jeff and I pushed pretty hard that, they needed to change the proposal so that there was other funding that just don't come with their hand out to two municipal units and expect it to be done. That's not what they've done in Yarmouth. And I know that Yarmouth is a totally different community. I mean, their board, Chamber of Commerce is key with theirs.
Yeah.
And it was actually the Chamber's baby that they took. So much. And they got outside funding from they got funding from the province and that. And we said, they have to at least try to access some funding. We're not going to, we're not, as CAO, we would be recommending to our councils to go third, outside funding.
Yeah.
It's my only sort of problem, but these sort of things happen for a good reason. And they may or may not bear fruit, but then they don't have an end date.
I think this one does.
Does it have an end date?
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Because that's my problem, some of these things that just snowball, and then 4 years down the road, you scratch your head and say, how did this ever start?
Yeah, quite often.
I think this is for 3 years. They're only asking for funding for 3 years, so they're hoping that either it's going to be success or if it's a flop, and that's it. If it's success, there'll be the other funding available.
Yeah, we used to have a line in our budget for healthcare or incentives. Yeah, we used to,
25,000,
25 a year we used to put it.
but they never used it.
No, because it just wasn't anybody using it on, really.
Yeah.
The municipality, I don't know what the situation is today, but they had 6 figures 2 times over sitting in their healthcare budget.
Is it getting to the point now where we'd be better off investing in natural property so that there's a place to live?
Well, I guess, yeah, there always is that. They're still maintaining their property down here, but there's nobody in the queue. There's not one doctor, one NP. Well, NPs have been fairly successful, but they're rotating. You go and they come. But there isn't a doctor in the queue right now. It hasn't been for quite a while. We entertained one recently, but that person's already working elsewhere. It just was going to look at Digby or Yarmouth as an option to expand hours and stuff. But anyway, I would suggest, look around at the Community Navigator program that's online around the other provinces. Get familiar with it, and we'll ask for a joint meeting sooner than later.
So, but that is like housing, that's one of the rules of this navigator, is to look at housing, ensure that there's housing, and if there isn't housing, how do we get housing, type of thing. So it's I guess after meeting a couple of meetings and what little bit that I've learned, I've got a different aspect. Before, I just thought just throwing a bunch of money away.
That's kind of where I am.
Yeah, but I've since had since I guess I'll say I got educated a little bit more on what a navigator can do, and the new office of recruitment or whatever it is in recruitment or whatever it is in province created a new office, and they are very pro So there's a good chance that there should be funding to help with this as well. You just gotta know who to talk to and get that out, but
Now, the lady, it's a lady in Yarmouth, the community navigator. I listened to her interview last fall. It's part of healthcare around the province, CBC radio. And they're touting their success in tracking 5 doctors through that program. You know, it's all kinds of other factors to make it easier for Yarmouth than it is for us. So, but they were touting the 5 doctors down there. So, yeah, think hard about it. Something's needed, whether it's this type or. We owe it to the community to do something. We're not, whether it's housing, community navigator, or traveling. We used to travel to shows and put up the banners for healthcare, and actually the foundation still does that. It was a hospital they went to Sherbrooke, well, a year ago. They haven't, 2 years, because COVID shut everything down. Used to travel to Sherbrooke, different places.
and that's what this
person.
navigator will do is attend the hospitality conference. In the budget, the 15,000 they have allotted for that. Doctor retention is another one, and that seems to be a big problem that we have in Digby. Once we do get a doctor, or is it a medical professional, we can't seem to keep them, right?
No.
It'll be this person's job to try to retain who we have, or who we do have.
I don't know any of those answers.
I am about to say this on this, but one of the comments I hear a lot in town is, what the doctors and the nurse practitioners are paying for rent here is extraordinary compared to other places.
That would be for their office space, is what you're talking about? We talked about that as well. That's one of the things that was talked about.
I talked with the head of the program in Yarmouth, the cost of rent here.
Who controls that? Who controls that?
Southwest Health. So hindsight, when that building went up, we said we want nothing to do with the operations.
Right.
We put capital money in, because that's what doctors want. Now, it's full. You go there, there's all kinds of people there. In hindsight, looking back, Claire, municipality of Claire, different situation, but they control theirs. So they can offer various incentives. So now I've spoken to our MLA about this, that there should be some kind of phased-in program. Because up here, it's $48,000 a year to rent. And yeah, they're making good money, but they're also, if it's a young student coming up with a $300,000 debt, it's tough. So either give it to them for a year for free, or give a phased-in approach, or something like that. So I spoke to her. I spoke to the head of the Dalhousie down in Yarmouth, and I spoke at the hospital up here. So whether it goes anywhere, we'll see. But that would be a nice incentive. Yeah.
And I think that would have a worthwhile chance of retaining it.
Yeah, and I've had comments from people going in business downtown saying, well, I have to pay rent. But healthcare is a crisis. It's important. If there's no doctors, there's no businesses starting downtown, so we need to track that.
I did hear the other part of that, another part of that problem was when they rented that space, they got a person who would run their booking or whatever it was. Those people were not trained adequately.
And they're also employed by someone.
Yeah, so that was another issue for them, because they couldn't work with the person in their own office.
Yeah, that's an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for another discussion. Okay. Digby Harbor Port Association. Digby Harbor Port Association.
I think that they are.
Yeah. So they're just asking if O'Neill's Fisheries relinquished the lease down there, and I asked them quite a while ago with that, and they said at some point they would be. Or at that time, they thought they'd be giving up the parking lot. But, of course, now the port's interested in it.
Yeah, I did reach out to Nick on the email after this letter came in last week, and I haven't got a response yet. But when DDA took the tour, they approached me about the lease and said we're no longer going to need it. We need to talk about it. And I put the ball back in his court at that particular time. Said, well, when you're ready to talk, just call me and we'll have a discussion. Okay, so we can, mutual agreement, we can terminate that lease, right? And if we terminate the lease, then I believe the Port Association probably wants that same sweetheart deal.
Well, yeah. Yeah, okay, so we'll wait to hear from them. I sit on the board, but they have their discussion around the table. It did, last year, the opening of the lobster season and stuff, the fishermen used that parking lot. It was open. It did help some, kept them off Front Street anyway. Yeah, so it's worth at least talking with them unless we have a use for that parking lot. Yeah. Okay, so we'll wait to hear from them. So, someone make a motion to win camera?
So,
Seconder?
Second.
Okay, we're in camera. Someone made a motion.
Who did?
Yeah,
Who was it?
Councilor Tony and Councilor Turner.
Did you catch that?
You didn't catch that?
No,
Mine.
I cleared that up.
Long day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is one accident. Okay, can we have a motion to approve the plot plan, I guess, of survey and blah, blah, blah,
so moved. Yeah, I'll figure it.
blah. Okay, seconder. Thank you. Seconder to that?
Yeah.
Okay. I wondered. All those in favor of that motion? Aye. Motion carried.
Ask him if they're gonna fix up the mini putt. Okay.
The what?
The mini putt.
You're putting out.
Oh.
I thought he took that in. The other owner, I thought he took
Did
that
he?
in. Yeah.
We have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Well, Paul, let us know.